been, in some areas we've had some modest success in terms of, increased focus on mental health and housing and homelessness and some other issues. But the reality is, I came into an institution that was virtually unchanged for 30 years. And as the first Democrat in what had previously been an all-five Republican board, it was an element of shock and an element of something new. And the unfortunate thing is as it relates to cannabis ought not be a partisan issue. Safe, regulated, and legal is something that Democrats should support, Republicans should support, independents should support. But I think it's a different mindset and a different mentality. And so my frustration has been the inability to gain any substantive traction with my colleagues. Really represents a failure to examine the facts, the science, the data, the realities of the world that we're in, along with like the rest of the world that has adopted a more progressive mindset around this. And so it's been difficult and it's been challenging to get people, particularly Supervisor Gaspar. We know Supervisor Jacob is not going to move her position. She's been there. We know Supervisor Desmond is never going to adapt to this, but Supervisor Gaspar has really been a failure and a great disappointment, and the willingness to be open-minded about rethinking some really antiquated views she has. And so we've struggled to get any traction. But, this year I'd always committed when I was a candidate, I said, we're going to work to build a coalition. And if we can, that'll be great. And if we can't, we're still going to have a vote because we're going to put folks on record. The simple reality is we have an obligation to our constituents to fulfill the laws that they have adopted, which allow for safe, regulated, and legal access, both recreational and medicinal, to cannabis products. We have an obligation to do the right thing. We have an obligation to follow everything that we know is in our interest, not only in providing that access to the people of San Diego County, but in ensuring that San Diego County receives its fair share and appropriate level of taxes for things that are safe, regulated, and legal. And so we've got a ways to go. We are going to have a vote this year, and we will see how that goes. And then we're going to have an election, which is going to be very important.
Any timeline on that?
Well, we're going to do it by August. It is, the time for talking has come over. It's going to be a time for voting. And, that's where we will look down into all of you, everyone who's a part of this organization and this group, because we're going to need your voices to be heard loud and clear about not only the benefits of cannabis, but the benefits of a smart structure and a smart way of doing it to ensure legal compliance and ensure folks have a safe place to go and ensure the businesses will be well run. And the advantage and the reason this is so baffling to me is this is not new. We're not cutting edge. We're not experimenting. We're not trying. We don't need to do a pilot. We've got states and countries and counties and cities all over the world that have already shown us the way to do this responsibly and do it right. And so we'll be bringing forward something most likely in an August board meeting. And I really encourage all of you to sign up, engage, participate, make your voice heard. Let's have an incredible turnout and show not only what is right, but what resonates with the communities and how you all could properly implement and move forward in a better way.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I mean, and as we develop a little bit more into this, we'll definitely share all the information with that vote, what people can do to get engaged, and put them in touch with your office and everything for any additional things that they might want to add there.
Well, and another point too, we'll be soliciting everyone's feedback on the specifics of what we bring forward in terms of getting input and getting suggestions and making sure that we're building a coalition that's given input into the policies that my office will bring forward.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think the one big thing is the essential status of cannabis throughout the state at this point, and the fact that in a lot of other jurisdictions within San Diego County, it's still banned. So essentially, it's the only essential business that is still not allowed in every jurisdiction in San Diego County, which is
mind-boggling. I mean, it's really stunning, and and you just run up against these archaic arguments. People will say like, oh, you mean a place where people can go buy it and leave? And I'm like a liquor store, or even people say like, you can go and use it and leave. And I'm like, you mean like a bar? And it's just, if somebody were to tell me, Dallin, if they were to say, look, I'm opposed to everything. I don't think there should be legal alcohol. I don't think there should be anything. I would think you're nuts, and I would think you haven't learned the lessons of prohibition. But I could at least respect the fact that you're consistent, maybe consistently wrong, but still consistent. But this argument out of the mouths of folks who fully support the sale, distribution, and consumption of alcohol, but somehow when it comes to cannabis, they view it differently, even though we know it's safer.
Yep.
And has better benefits, and all of that is just something that I struggle with daily to understand the rationale and the thinking behind this opposition. But so much of it is just a reflexive knee-jerk to, that's the way it was 20 or 30 years ago, and people are just unwilling to look at it in a new light. And it's something I've always supported and am proud to support and strongly support, and we will get there eventually. It's just going to take us a little bit of work.
Yeah, definitely. You're kind of laid out a little bit of your vision. We need adult use. We need more, more access and everything like that. Anything else you kind of want to add in that, like what that you would like to see in the county? Anything additional?
Well, what I would love if I had 3 reliable votes on this topic, what I would really love is for San Diego County to adopt the model ordinance and really put in place the framework and tackling all aspects of it, whether it's cultivation, distribution, delivery, consumption, testing. I mean, all of it, kind of beginning to end, all aspects of it, and then put in place the framework, right? That has the proper, appropriate amount of taxation. I understand if you get that too high, you're going to push it in underground, and we don't want to do that. Has in the proper protocols, the proper licensing, the proper safety standards. Because look, we want responsible folks, but we also have to have the proper enforcement so that when you have that in place, that the proper folks are the only places that folks go. And if San Diego County is the county of San Diego, if we could adopt that, then a dream scenario, if we got that right, would be that individual jurisdictions would adopt the same policy. So then there'd be consistency throughout all of the counties in the unincorporated areas of San Diego County, which would make it easier for a consumer to know, okay, there's kind of one set of rules, but it would also make it easier for so many of your folks who might operate different operations in different geographic areas. So they're not having to comply with multiple standards and sets of rules. And so I think to the extent we could do that, that would be the dream. The reality is I don't think I'll have 3 votes today to just extend the ban, to extend the moratorium, to allow the handful of only medicinal folks that are still operating and incorporate to operate. I mean, that's a starting point. But the reality is I think, Supervisor Cox has generally been, somewhat supportive and open to this. And Supervisor Desmond is just going to be a hard no forever. Supervisor Jacob, who I'm very fond of personally, I'm very fond of Supervisor Jacob, and we get along on a host of issues. This is one where we disagree. And then Supervisor Gaspar has consistently and forcefully been a passionate voice against common sense and against cannabis. And so I don't know that we will have success, but look, we're going to organize a coalition. We're going to turn folks out. You never know what can happen, but folks are going to go on record.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's really, really needed. Just to see where we are. We're almost 4 years into Prop 64 passing at this point. Almost 2 years into, or no, more than 2 years into full adult use, and the people accept it. So it's time to see our elected leaders take a stand on that.
And it passes everywhere. This isn't just look. I have a very liberal, a very progressive district, but this ought not be a partisan issue. And look, I'm a proud Democrat, but I'll always work with folks who we agree with. And this ought to be one issue where we align. And there's this irony that the party that proclaims to be of personal liberty and freedom seems to draw a line when it comes to people making a personal liberty and freedom choice. And I've never, I've never quite grasped that. And then, you have the reality that folks are still going to use. It just comes from unregulated and potentially unsafe places, and so we definitely don't want that. Sorry, my lights are flickering. I don't know.
No worries. Oh, good. So I guess at this point, is there anything that the cannabis industry can do to really help with this in the long run? I mean, we're going to see what we can do for this vote, but I guess in the future, what else can we do?
We got to turn out for the vote. The reality is we got to change the composition of the board. And look, we have the Desmond seat's not going to move. He's not up till 22. The seat that Supervisor Jacob holds, you got 2 folks that are not going to be friendly to your industry. And in District 1, we've got 2 candidates who are both supportive of your industry.
Yep.
So it is going to come down to District 3. And that's where I only have one political priority in 2020, and that is electing Tara Lawson-Remer to the County Board of Supervisors. She is smart. She's a lawyer. She's an economist. She's an advocate. She's an environmentalist. She's great on a host of issues. But she will be the deciding vote to decide, is our county going to move forward into a better future, or continue to bring an 8-track approach to an iPod world. And we really have to line up and do it. And, the leading voices against cannabis, and, Dallin, I've shared with you that email.
Yeah.
And you should share it with your group, where the leading voices against cannabis have been organizing and fundraising to support Kristen Gaspar, because they said she is our voice, and she will stop these things from moving forward. And they're speaking the truth. And so now we need our folks on this issue to bring that same commitment and passion to help Tara get elected. And it's going to be a big fight, and it's going to be an expensive fight. But it is a fight that we need to win in order to put our county in a better way. And so I really strongly could not possibly encourage folks more. Please support Tara. Please donate to her. Please help her in her campaign. Please mobilize folks, in that district. We have to win that race. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, yeah, we're actually going to be getting to her here in a moment in the same webinar series. So yeah, thank you so much, Nathan. I really appreciate it. You are fantastic on the board. I can't thank you enough for all the great work that you're doing for our county. Any last things? Any last items here?
I just ask all you, just hang in there. I mean, as Dallin mentioned, these ballot measures have passed multiple times. The public is there. And when you pass a ballot measure, that's actually changing the law. And the law has been changed. Now it's just individual jurisdictions that don't want to enforce and implement what the law requires. They're putting up barriers. We will win this fight. It's just my hope that we can win this fight in 2020 and not have to wait until 22 or 24, because the reality is that does not make any sense. The time for change has long come and gone, and folks aren't going to change their mind that we need to change them. And so I know so many of you were so supportive of me and my effort, and I appreciate it tremendously. And as one voice and one person, we're doing the best we can. But ultimately, I need some allies, and I need some friends, and I need Tara Lawson-Remer.